Legend of Yufei, Chapter 54.
It kicks off with this really striking poem, doesn't it? It kind of sets the stage, hints at the moral landscape.
It does. Let's hear it.
Which speaks of, a loyal heart reflecting purity and serving the nation, a vast righteous spirit filling the universe.
Mm-hmm. That sense of cosmic duty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yet there's this deep regret that loyalty and filial piety are just so rare in the world, regardless of life and death. It feels like some serious foreshadowing.
Oh, absolutely. It tells us right from the outset, this isn't just a story about battles. It's about moral choices. It's about the profound impact of integrity or, the lack of it on a whole society.
Right. So let's get into the action. The sources, they just throw us immediately into the thick of it. Battle of Zaixing.
Yeah, no messing around.
And what happens next is just pretty amazing. Picture this. The Yurchin enemy camp, it's heavily fortified, right?
Right, dug in.
And suddenly, a single figure, Yuyin. Now, this is Marshal Yufei's own son he charges in, totally alone.
Alone. Into a fortified camp.
Completely alone, wielding 2 silver hammers, and the text says they strike Yuria like a rain of locusts. Just imagine that visual.
Wow. That's intense.
And he's shouting, "Rouge!" Which means, I, young Master Yu, have come to stomp your camp.
Ha! Stomp your camp. I love the confidence.
Incredible, right? And the enemy soldiers, they already know his reputation, his ferocity. They just scatter. Pure panic.
And that's a crucial detail, isn't it? It suggests that while, numbers matter, the morale, the reputation of just a few key individuals can be like a huge force multiplier.
Definitely.
The Jurchen troops, they already knew about Yufei's family. That legend came before Yu Yin even got there.
Good point.
And what's fascinating is the immediate ripple effect. Right after Yu Yin's incredible solo charge, the third vanguard, young Chengfeng, he arrives.
Okay.
Now, he's just heard about the tragic death of this legendary hero Yang Zaixing at Zaixing River, a huge loss.
Right, a major blow.
And now he sees Yu Yin's daring move, and he's just enraged, absolutely furious. So he immediately joins in, wielding his own powerful purple gold hammer, shouting his own challenge.
Zaixing.
Huh.
I, Yan Chengfeng, have come to stomp your camp too.
The sheer audacity, it just keeps building. So you've got the Jurchen general, Wuzing, getting these reports.
Yeah, he must be freaking out.
Totally. Reports of these Gri, which is a pretty nasty term, little southern barbarians, he calls them, just wreaking havoc in his camp. And he's dismayed.
Understandably.
He actually recalls how just one guy, had single-handedly killed 4 of his vanguards, even though Wuzu had this massive 600,000-strong army.
1 man against 4 commanders of a huge army. Incredible. So Wuzu, he recognizes the immense psychological threat these few warriors pose. It's not just about the fighting.
Right, it's fear.
Exactly. So he issues this terrifying order,
Yeah.
capture them alive, or you face military execution.
Wow, that desperate.
Yeah. It's an incredible insight, isn't it? How the actions of just a few brave men could shake the confidence of a top commander and his massive force. It wasn't just physical damage, like you said. It was a blow to their morale, their whole sense of superiority.
It absolutely highlights that heroism isn't just about, winning a little fight. It's about creating a legend that can demoralize an entire opposing army. Which does raise that important question. How can such a small group cause such disproportionate chaos? And it doesn't stop there.
No.
Soon after, the 4th vanguard, Hu Wangqing, charges in. He's got dual hammers too, adding to the storm.
Okay, so now there are 3 of them in there.
At least. Then comes the 5th, Yu Wangkano. He's got a silver spear, and he's described as just incredibly fierce. Get this. The sources vividly say he broke through 7 layers of encirclement and overturned 8 elite tiger wolf units.
7 layers. That's
Yes.
almost unbelievable.
Right. It apparently made the Jurchen soldiers cry out in sheer terror. The southern barbarians are truly ferocious. It just shows the kind of fear these guys instilled.
It's like something out of a legend. And the assault just keeps going.
Relentlessly. The 6th vanguard, Lu Yangqing, he arrives at dusk. But first, before he even fights, he stops by the river to mourn Kash's body. Swears revenge right there.
A moment of respect amidst the chaos.
Yeah. And then, fueled by that grief and fury, he charges in. Finally, the 7th vanguard, Hu Shengzi, arrives. He's got this gleaming, painted silver halberd.
Another one.
And he shouts with this sort of grim warrior enthusiasm, how exciting Wu Shengzi have also arrived.
How exciting. In the middle of that mayhem.
Well, maybe this is stimulating is a better sense, but yeah. Can you just imagine all 6 of these guys? The text calls them Kisho, 6 fierce tigers, basically tigers of war, fighting inside the Jurchen camp for a full day and night.
A whole day and night, surrounded.
Surrounded. The sources say they turned the battle into total chaos where heaven and earth darkened, sun and moon lost their light. It's like a force of nature tearing through them, not just men.
Just incredible endurance and courage.
It's almost superhuman, isn't it? Truly embodying that spirit of individual might against overwhelming odds. But, even heroes like these, despite all their individual skill, they're still part of a larger strategy. They still need support.
Right, they can't do it all alone forever.
Exactly. And the sources tell us that Marshal Orfei and Marshal Han Xizong's main armies finally arrive. You hear the thunderous boom of cannon fire signaling their approach.
The cavalry arrives, so to speak.
Pretty much. Yeah. And this crucial support allows Xiao and 5 of the other vanguards to finally fight their way out of the camp.
Okay, so they get out. Phew.
But wait. Yun, amidst all that chaos, quickly realizes someone's missing. Yang Chengfeng?
Oh no. The second guy who charged in?
That's him. And without hesitation, Yun and the other generals, they bravely charge back into that swirling chaos to rescue their comrades.
Back in. After fighting for a day and night.
Back in. It's just this powerful demonstration of brotherhood, of loyalty that goes way beyond the heat of battle.
Wow. Do they find him?
They do, and it's a pretty grim scene. After fighting for Sumin that full day and night, he's completely out of it. The text says, literally killed until disoriented. He can't even recognize his own side.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Battle fatigue doesn't even cover it.
No. The other heroes have to physically restrain him, basically drag him out of the battle. It's a really harrowing image of sheer exhaustion.
I can only imagine.
And when they eventually get back, Marshal Yufei himself takes the time to console Lu Yanqing, the one who mourned by the river, still grieving.
What does he say?
He says, Shu Win, which means something like a warrior dies on the battlefield, his body wrapped in horsehide, that's the life. It's only a pity he didn't live to enjoy court honors. Such a hero, truly regrettable.
Acknowledging the sacrifice, but also the potential lost.
Exactly. And then Yufei personally oversees Jiang Zaixing's burial at Phoenix Mountain. This moment, it really underscores the immense personal cost of all this valor and the deep emotional toll it takes, even on the most hardened warriors and commanders.
Yeah, that image of the great Marshal Yufei mourning, personally overseeing a burial, it really brings home the human element behind these huge epic sagas. Makes you wonder how leaders carried that emotional weight along with, all this strategy.
It's a heavy burden. But if we sort of connect this back to the bigger picture, while you have this raw heroism defining the battlefield, there's this different, much more insidious force at play behind the scenes.
Ah, the shift in focus.
Yeah, threatening to unravel everything these warriors fought for. Our sources suddenly jump us to Wuzu's camp after the battle. He's surveying his, countless dead and wounded.
His confidence must be shaken.
Definitely. And he starts questioning why Qinghe, this figure back in the Song court, hasn't responded to his earlier messages. He actually suspects betrayal, even though they apparently had some previous understanding, maybe even vows exchanged.
Interesting. Political intrigue.
Right. But his military advisor reassures him, kind of subtly implying, oh, don't worry, Qinghe will surely act, which reveals this hidden layer to the conflict one fought with whispers and political moves, not swords and spears.
And what a critical layer that turns out to be. Because meanwhile, Marshal Yufei's military power is just growing exponentially.
Right, he's getting stronger on the field.
Marshal Yu and Marshal Ri arrive, each with 50,000 troops. That brings his total to 200,000 soldiers, spread across 12 huge camps at Zuxianzhen. Massive force.
Formidable army.
And this is when we see this unprecedented symbol of imperial power, an imperial sword.
Okay, what's special about that?
Well, this wasn't just any sword. It granted him absolute authority. He could execute even high-ranking officials on the spot without needing prior imperial approval.
Wow, that's huge power. Execute first, report later.
Exactly. It signals a desperate emperor placing immense, almost unchecked trust in his marshal. Power rarely given, usually only in times of extreme national emergency.
Desperate times.
Right. He also gets hundreds of talismans to appoint meritorious people, solidifying his command. But then comes this deeply troubling piece of news.
Oh.
Grand Tutor has died. And that very same Qin Hui, he's just been appointed prime minister.
Ah, the man Wuzu was wondering about, now he's prime minister.
Now he's prime minister. The stage is set, not just for a clash of armies, but for this devastating conflict between military success on the front lines and political sabotage back at court.
And this raises that really important question about power, doesn't it? How does authority, once it's granted, become corrupted from within?
Yeah.
Soon after this, the esteemed the new top scholar, a guy named Zhang Jucheng, arrives at Yu Fei's camp. He's dressed as a civilian, offering to serve as a military advisor.
A top scholar wanting to advise the army.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very. But then he reveals this shocking truth. He hadn't brought a traditional gift, basically a bribe for Qin Hui when he got appointed.
Okay.
So Qin Hui, apparently driven by pure petty revenge, used his new immense influence to reassign Zhang Jucheng to this distant military role instead of the prestigious court position that a top scholar like him deserved.
Just because he didn't bring a gift? Yeah. That's incredibly petty.
Isn't it? Yu Fei and the other generals are absolutely outraged. They exclaim, how can this be? How can you value bribes and slight worthy people?
Yeah, it perfectly shows how personal vendettas, fueled by this unchecked power, could just corrupt the highest levels of government, undermining the whole system that's supposed to reward merit.
The destructive power of ego and corruption right there in the government structure.
And the true, just chilling extent of Hui's treachery. It soon becomes undeniable. Another so-called imperial decree arrives.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
You should. It's specifically for Zhang Jucheng, ordering him to go to Ordi Wugocheng.
Wugocheng, where is that?
It's this remote, desolate place where the two captive former Song emperors, known as the Oya, two sages, were being held. It wasn't just a place, it was a symbol of national shame, humiliation.
Okay, so sending him there.
The generals immediately recognize it. This isn't a real imperial order, it's a transparent trap. It's Qin Hui's insidious plot to get rid of Zhang Jucheng, sending him to an almost certain death.
Just pure malice.
They actually lament that with such a treacherous minister in power, loyal subjects just cannot be protected. They call it Yukaperi. Truly terrifying.
And it is terrifying. A stark reminder that even these symbols of national authority, like an imperial decree, can be twisted into instruments of, evil by corrupt hands.
Yeah.
And this whole tragic episode just underlines the profound vulnerability of integrity when it's confronted by corrupt power like that. Zhang Jucheng, he seems to accept his grim fate.
What does he do?
He makes this really poignant request. He asks to write a final letter to his elderly mother and his younger brother, the Tangs, back in Chengzu.
Yeah.
He even includes a small sachet with the letter, like a last physical connection to his family.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Isn't it? Yu Fei, visibly moved, provides the writing stuff. And then, in this really sad moment, he asks for a general to volunteer to escort Zhang Jucheng through enemy territory, a mission fraught with peril.
Someone has to take him.
Yeah.
Through enemy lines.
Yeah. The weight of Zhang Jucheng's impending doom is just palpable. That simple act of writing a letter becomes this profound farewell, just steeped in sorrow and resignation. You see how personal the cost of this political corruption really is. It reaches right into the most intimate parts of people's lives.
So who volunteers for this incredibly dangerous escort mission?
That's when Tang Huai, who is one of his sworn brothers, steps forward, volunteers for what seems like an almost certainly suicidal mission.
One of his sworn brothers, wow.
Yeah. And the sources describe Hui's reaction in incredible detail. He's completely overcome with tears. His throat is choked up. He's utterly unable to speak. He can't even bear to watch depart.
Even the great general is just broken by this.
Completely. At Chaosheng Bridge, Churs says this solemn farewell to everyone, and he specifically addressed Yu Fei as elder brother, which is a term of deep respect and affection, brotherhood.
A final goodbye.
It feels like it. A moment of just profound, unspoken sorrow and self-sacrifice. Yu Fei returns to his camp, just covering his face in grief. This deep emotional response from a seasoned general, a man hardened by countless battles, and the immense personal sacrifices that real loyalty, true loyalty, can demand. It shows that even the most formidable leaders carry this heavy burden of human connection and loss.
Zhang Jucheng, He's a newly appointed scholar, right? Top marks.
That's right, as Wang Yuan, the best of the best in the imperial exams. And he's dispatched by the Song Emperor to the Jurchen Hill Wugocheng.
Wugocheng. Now, what exactly made this mission so fraught with peril? I mean, especially for someone like him, the top scholar.
Well, you're absolutely right to call it perilous. I mean, Wugocheng was deep within enemy territory, a stronghold of the Jurchen Jin dynasty.
Okay.
And his task? To inquire about the two sages. Now, for any listener unfamiliar, this was basically a coded way of asking about the two previous Song emperors.
The ones captured by the Jurchens years before.
Exactly. So, sending an envoy, let alone the empire's top scholar, to directly ask about captured royalty, it was an act of both immense desperation and, frankly, symbolic defiance.
He was essentially walking into the lion's den.
Totally. Where any misstep could mean torture, imprisonment, or, well, death. It was incredibly high stakes.
So a mission of extreme sensitivity. But he wasn't alone, was he? He had an escort, and the text describes this escort as anything but conventional. Who was Tang Huai, and how did he even get close to Wuzu's camp?
He certainly wasn't alone, and his escort was, extraordinary. Tang Huai was one of the renowned General Yufei's most trusted and formidable men.
Okay, one of Yufei's guys.
Right. And the source vividly describes Tang Huai's approach. He rode straight up to Wuzu's massive Jurchen encampment, a place just bristling with enemy soldiers. And instead of trying to be discreet, he shouted a challenge.
Shouted a challenge.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Demanding safe passage for the envoy. It was incredibly bold, almost suicidal, really. A display of courage and loyalty.
Wow.
Actually, a small Jurchen scout, a Xiao fan, reported his arrival, calling him Tang Man. That's the term the Jurchens used for Southerners, especially Yufei's men. It carried a mix of, disdain and maybe some grudging respect.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. You'd expect Wuzu, the formidable Jurchen general, this fierce enemy commander, to react with immediate fury, right? Or just dismissiveness to such a direct challenge.
You would think so.
So what was his response to Tang Huai's audacious demands?
Well, what's fascinating here is Wuzu's surprising reaction. Far from anger, he actually expresses a deep admiration.
Admiration.
Yes. The text quotes him saying something like, "There are such loyal ministers in the Central Plains," which is very respectable. And then he orders his vast camp described as 5 camps and 8 outposts with countless soldiers to part and make way for the envoy.
He just parts the sea of soldiers.
Pretty much. And he even goes a step further, assigning a high-ranking official a pingzing. Think of that as like a senior chancellor or maybe a grand counselor in their system.
Right.
And 50 soldiers to escort them all the way to Wugocheng.
That's remarkable. It's not just an enemy showing respect. It's almost like a shared code.
I think that's exactly it. It speaks to a universal code of honor, maybe a warrior's respect, even in brutal warfare. Wuzu, a fierce general himself, he understood loyalty. He saw it in Zhang Zhucheng. It shows that even in the most brutal conflicts, sometimes there's this surprising bridge of common values. War isn't always black and white, There are these gray areas where humanity can still peek through.
That's a powerful insight, that shared warrior ethos. And the impression these two men made, riding into the heart of enemy territory like that, it must have been quite striking. What did they look like to the Jurchen soldiers watching?
Oh, the description is quite vivid, and it's important. Zhang Zhucheng, the scholar, he appeared dignified, resolute, fair-faced, red-lipped, wearing a red robe with a golden belt, a black gauze cap, black boots, holding his imperial tally, the symbol of his mission.
Very official.
Very. And behind him, Tang Huai, with his silver spear, cut an equally formidable figure. Apparently, the Jurchen soldiers, seeing this display of courage and dignity, actually cheered them on.
Cheered them.
Yeah, calling Zhang Zhucheng a good young loyal minister. It really highlights how these two, even deep in hostile territory, projected this image of unwavering dedication and strength that, it earned the respect of their adversaries.
Okay, so Wuzu recognizes Tang Huai as one of Yufei's men. His advisor Hamichi confirms it. And while he shows admiration, he also expresses concern, right, about the bravery of these Nanman, these Southerners.
Yeah, he does. He notes their bravery, maybe a bit worriedly.
But then the situation takes a really critical turn. It sets up this poignant dilemma. Wuzu gives a very specific kind of chilling command, doesn't he?
He does, and this is crucial. He orders his troops to close ranks immediately after the envoy passes. And then specifically, he commands that if Tang Huai attempts to return, he must be captured alive and unharmed under penalty of death for anyone who disobeys.
Alive and unharmed. Wow. That's a masterstroke of strategic calculation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Wuzhu admires Tang Huai's courage, but he also recognizes him as, well, either a valuable asset or maybe just a dangerous symbol if allowed to return to Yufei.
So capturing him alive, not killing him. What's the thinking there? Turn him. Get intel.
Could be any of those. Or use him as leverage. It places Tang Huai in just an impossible situation. Either continue with the envoy and probably face capture later, or try to return now and be captured immediately. It's a calculated trap, plain and simple.
And that impossible situation brings us directly to our next segment, Tang Huai's profound sacrifice. So outside the Jurchen camp, there's this deeply emotional farewell scene.
Right.
Tang Huai tells Zhang Jucheng he can't go any further with him. Zhang Jucheng weeps, saying they might never meet again, and Tang Huai too sheds tears.
Yeah.
Before resolutely turning back. That moment is just loaded with unspoken understanding.
It absolutely is. This scene just underscores the profound human cost of war, doesn't it? Both men knew the gravity of the situation. They knew the near certainty that this farewell was final.
Yeah.
Tang Huai's decision to turn back alone, knowing the specific orders Wuzhu had given, it elevates his act from mere duty to something truly profoundly sacrificial. He knew he was choosing a path he wouldn't return from, all for his honor and for his general.
And he doesn't just turn back passively. The text says he charges straight back into the lion's den, alone, silver spear in hand, breaking through the encirclement of that heavily fortified Jurchen camp. That's not just bravery, it's almost suicidal defiance.
Right.
What does that tell us about his mindset at that point?
It tells us he's made a conscious, resolute choice. He understood Wuzu's order, capture him alive.
Right.
And for Tang Huai, capture would have meant humiliation, maybe forced defection, becoming a tool against his own people, against his beloved general Yufei. So he chooses to face these overwhelming odds rather than betray his principles.
And the scale of that camp.
Incredible. Described as stretching over 50 that's roughly 25 kilometers, 15 miles or so.
Against one man.
Exactly. It paints such a vivid picture of the impossible task he faced. His charge becomes this ultimate assertion of agency, of defiance against fate.
So the Jurchen soldiers, they're following Wuzu's orders. They try to intercept him, and they actually offer him surrender, safety, even a high position if he gives up.
They do. They try to tempt him.
But Tang Huai's refusal is just absolutely fiery. He indignantly declares he won't go home, won't surrender to barbarian thieves. He literally says, "My old master's few bones don't want to go home." What's behind such a passionate rejection of survival?
This is where Tang Huai's loyalty and maybe that whole ethos of an honorable warrior truly shines. Despite the offer of life, status, everything, he rejects it outright. He chooses death over dishonor or defection.
That line about his bones.
Yeah, my few bones don't want to go home.
Yeah.
It isn't just refusing surrender. It's this profound statement that his very essence, his integrity, it just can't be compromised by submitting to the enemy. It's an ultimate commitment to his identity as a song warrior, loyal to Yufei, even if it means his own destruction. This kind of choice would have resonated so deeply back then with the understanding of heroism and virtue.
The odds are, as you said, just overwhelming. The text even mentions his fighting skills were considered ordinary Ping Cheng,
Right.
not like some superhuman warrior.
Right. He wasn't Yufei or young Zaixing in terms of pure martial skill. He was a brave, loyal soldier, but facing an entire encampment.
Stretching for kilometers, countless soldiers, he realizes he can't escape. He faces capture, humiliation, and critically, he realizes he won't even get to choose how he dies if captured. So he makes that heartbreaking decision to take his own life. This is an incredible act of control in that situation, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's crucial to see it that way. This isn't an act of despair necessarily. It's an ultimate assertion of control and defiance when facing absolute defeat. For a warrior of that era, capture, forced surrender. That could be seen as a fate worse than death. It's stripped away all honor.
I see.
So by choosing his own end, Tang Huai preserves his integrity. He ensures he can't be used as a propaganda tool by the Jurchens. He denies his enemies the satisfaction of his capture. It transforms what looks like a military defeat into a powerful moral victory. And that detail resonated deeply with the Song people and, ironically, even with Wuzu himself.
And his final stand. It's just so incredibly powerful. He pushes aside their weapons, demands they pause, says again he won't surrender. And then defiantly, he predicts Yufei's eventual victory, sweeping away the Jurchens, capturing Wenlong Wuzu's clan at Wenlong Fu. He says his final farewells to Marshal Brother, meaning Yufei, and his other brothers, before turning his own spear on himself. What an exit.
It's a moment of profound, well, theatricality, maybe, but also deep conviction. His dying words aren't regretful. They're about prophecy and loyalty. He's echoing Yufei's ultimate goal, recover the Central Plains, and welcome back the two sages, a campaign that would end with capturing Wanyan at Huanglongfu.
Right, the big objective.
It's a final act of solidarity, meant to inspire his own side and maybe even shake his enemies. There's even a poem in the source that romanticizes his sacrifice. A loyal heart returned to the underworld, a vast spirit ascended to heaven. It's a classic example of how history, or at least historical fiction, remembers not just the actions, but the spirit behind them.
Even Wuzu, hearing about his death, orders Tang Huai's head displayed, but his body buried. That shows a strange kind of posthumous respect, doesn't it?
It does. Complex, isn't it?
And then Yufei's grief upon hearing the news is so personal. He recalls their childhood friendship, lamenting Tang Huai died before seeing peace. He even performs a remote offering to his fallen comrade. This contrast between the enemy's grudging admiration and the allies' deep sorrow is really striking.
It truly is. Wuzu's command for burial, despite displaying the head. It signifies this complex blend of admiration for a warrior's valor, maybe, but also a strategic reminder of the costs of opposing him. It wasn't just, oh, what a brave guy, but perhaps a grudging respect for someone who chose honor over life.
Yeah.
Yufei's sorrow, though, that highlights the deep personal bonds underneath all these grand conflicts. It reminds us that even great generals, leaders of vast armies, they feel immense personal loss. It's a testament to the fact that even in epic warfare, human connection and grief remain absolutely central.
Okay, so from that profound sorrow of sacrifice, the narrative shifts. Wuzu is in his tent, still actually praising Tang Huai's loyalty and courage to his generals.
Still reflecting on it.
But then a new figure arrives, described as Wuzu's royal son, Wenlong. This marks a really significant turn in the story, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Think about it. The story of Tang Huai's sacrifice just set this incredibly high bar for heroism and loyalty, a standard we've just witnessed.
Right.
And now, almost immediately, we're introduced to a character who is going to completely redefine the challenges faced by the song. It's a classic narrative device, really introduce a game changer, someone who demands a whole new strategic approach.
And what a picture the text paints of this Wenlong. Only 16 years old, but he possesses immense strength, 1,000 jin, which sounds unbelievably powerful.
It's a huge amount.
He's 9 feet tall,
Yeah.
which must be an exaggeration, but still broad face, large head, round waist, handsome eyes, clear eyebrows, proficient in archery, horsemanship, skilled with dual spears, and hailed as the #1 hero in the north. And the text specifically notes a type of hero lacking in the south. This is quite an entrance for a teenager. How does this portrayal set him apart?
He's depicted as a true prodigy, almost a mythical figure in a way. His physical attributes, his skills, they're exaggerated to convey this extraordinary, almost superhuman prowess. The details about his youth, combined with that immense strength and the twin spears, it immediately tells us he's not just skilled, he's uniquely gifted. And that specific mention, the #1 hero in the north, a type of hero lacking in the south, that's deliberate. It builds him up as this formidable, seemingly unbeatable adversary for Yufei and his generals. It foreshadows huge struggles to come. He's not just another warrior, he's presented as a phenomenon.
And Wenlong doesn't waste any time once he arrives. He immediately and quite boldly questions Wuzu's strategy, asks why the Jurchen army hasn't just advanced to Linen to capture the Song Emperor. That really highlights his youthful impetuosity, doesn't it? But maybe also a keen strategic mind.
It certainly does both. It definitely showcases his unbridled confidence that may be born from his unchallenged status and youth. But yeah, also a sharp intelligence. He's not content just being a fighter. He's thinking about the bigger picture, the campaign, pushing for that decisive victory. And this moment serves a dual purpose in the story. It reveals Wenlong's audacious character, but it also gives Wuzu a natural opening to explain the very real difficulties the Jurchens have been facing, which gives us crucial background context from their perspective. It's that tension between youthful audacity and seasoned experience playing out right there.
Right, and Wuzu uses this chance to explain why they're stalled. He brings up the death of Zaixing at Xiaoshangi.
A huge loss for the song, but also a costly victory for the Jurchens.
Fierce battles with Yu Yun and Yan Chengfeng, the formidable presence of 12 Song encampments facing them, and of course Yufei's exceptional prowess. Why is it important for us, the listeners, to hear these challenges from Wuzu's point of view?
Well, it's critical for understanding the strategic deadlock, and it offers a more balanced view of the conflict, you see. Wuzu isn't just making excuses here, he's detailing the formidable opposition he's genuinely up against. He highlights the military genius of Yu Fei and the bravery of his generals. It proves that even the dominant Jurchen forces face significant, costly challenges. It paints a picture of a truly hard-fought war where victory for either side is far from guaranteed. Every inch of ground is contested fiercely.
And despite Wuzu's, cautionary tale of difficulties, Lu Wenlong is immediately eager for battle.
Yeah.
He wants to lead troops to capture some southern barbarians just to entertain Wuzu. It shows his absolute eagerness for combat. Wuzu gives him some cautionary advice, but you can probably feel the untamed energy radiating off this young warrior.
His eagerness for combat, almost like it's a sport or entertainment for Wuzu. It really sets him apart. It's that unbridled confidence of youth, maybe meeting the harsh realities of war, but he seems completely unaware of the true cost yet. Wuzu's caution, on the other hand, that reveals his experience. He knows that even the most talented warriors can fall. This moment is such a stark contrast, youthful idealism about warfare versus the pragmatic, often brutal realities of the battlefield. It perfectly sets the stage for his impending debut.
And that eagerness leads us directly into our final segment. Lu Wenlong's devastating debut. He leads Jurchen troops across Zaixing Bridge right up to the Song camp to issue a challenge. No time wasted, straight to the front lines. What happens next?
He is clearly not one to hang back. So a small soldier reports the challenge to Yu Fei. Yu Fei asks for volunteers, and two generals, Hu Tianqing and Hu Tianbao, their brothers, step forward.
Okay.
Yu Fei, ever the cautious and experienced commander, tells them to proceed with extreme caution. That immediately signals the danger, right? Yu Fei's seasoned judgment tells him this is no ordinary challenger, even without knowing exactly who it is yet. It's a subtle foreshadowing of the sheer power Lu Wenlong wields.
So Hu Tianbao rides out first to face him, and the text again emphasizes Lu Wenlong's striking appearance.
Yes, it paints the picture again.
16 or 17 years old, fair-faced, red-lipped, wearing this elaborate two dragons playing with a purple gold crown with pheasant tails, a red battle robe, golden chainmail, sword, bow, riding a red horse and wielding those two six-sunken spears, described as majestic and full of heroic spirit. What impression would that have made on the song general approaching him?
Well, the description emphasizes both his youth and his formidable, almost regal presence. Specific details, that ornate crown, the dual spears. It paints a picture of a warrior who isn't just skilled, but carries this, air of invincibility.
Yeah.
It's a powerful visual representation of the immense threat he poses, designed to instill awe, maybe even fear. Hu Tianbao certainly takes note, but his reaction, well, is critically flawed.
And that's where Hu Tianbao makes a critical, ultimately fatal mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
Despite acknowledging Lu Wenlong's impressive demeanor, he underestimates him because of his youth, tells him to go back and send an older warrior.
A big mistake.
How does Lu Wenlong react to this perceived insult?
This underestimation, it's such a classic narrative trope, isn't it? Setting up the swift and brutal comeuppance, Lu Wenlong's response is just scornful laughter.
He laughs at him.
Yeah. He dismisses Yu Fei's reputation, dismisses all Song soldiers as basically inconsequential, totally unworthy of his time. His arrogance isn't just a character flaw here. It seems born from an absolute, and at this point maybe justified, confidence in his own abilities. He's not just dismissing Hu Tianbao, he's essentially throwing down a gauntlet to the entire Song army's reputation.
And then the double tragedy for the Song army unfolds with brutal efficiency. Describe how Lu Wenlong actually dispatches these two brothers.
It's truly devastatingly fast. Lu Wenlong acts with astonishing speed and precision. He kills Hu Tianbao almost instantly, uses his left spear to parry Hu Tianbao's broadsword, and with his right spear, stabs him right in the heart. Bam! Done.
Wow.
Then Hu Tianqing, his brother, understandably enraged, immediately attacks. But Lu Wenlong defeats and kills him with those dual spears in fewer than 10 exchanges.
Fewer than 10
Yep.
against an experienced general.
Exactly. This debut is nothing short of terrifying for the Song side. The speed, the precision with which he dispatches both brothers, it immediately establishes him as a warrior of absolutely unparalleled skill, far beyond what his age would suggest. It sends a crystal clear message to the Song forces. This is something new, something incredibly dangerous.
Lu Wenlong then delivers this triumphant taunt, demanding Yu Fei send genuinely capable generals instead of, quote, nameless small fries to their deaths.
Rubbing it in.
Yeah. So the defeated Song soldiers report this double loss back to Yu Fei, who is naturally overcome with grief. But then, an incredible response. Yu Fei's own son, Zaixing, Yan Chengfang, and He Wanqing, four of Yu Fei's absolute top generals, all volunteer to face Lu Wenlong together.
4 of the best.
And here's our cliffhanger. Yu Fei, seeing these 4 top generals volunteer, devises a specific plan to capture the young Jurchen.